So Enes Kanter of the Boston Celtics has been very, very critical of LeBron James and the fact that he doesn't speak up about China at all, but he has a lot to say about other social justice issues. Now, something very interesting happened during the game yesterday when the Celtics played the Lakers. The commentators on ESPN, Doris Burke and Mike Breen, came to LeBron James' defense. You know, typical like what Carcino for Life says and Kwame Brown say about the go along, get along gang. The cronies came out to defend LeBron, defend the so-called king. So I'm gonna play the clip and I'll give you guys my thoughts about it.
Yesterday on social media, Kanter tweeted photos of the shoes he's wearing tonight, which attack LeBron James's lifetime partnership with Nike. On the shoes, he has the line "Money over Morals," which he directed towards James with regard to labor practices in China. Now, Kanter also criticized LeBron this summer on CNN, saying that James is not a strong enough advocate for the COVID-19 vaccine. LeBron has not addressed any of Kanter's criticisms so far this season, guys.
All right, thank you, Cassidy. And, you know, again, Enes Kanter has been very active, speaking about his own country, Turkey. And he's suffered consequences from that. And now this is something he's talked about quite a bit. You would hope that he would go to LeBron James directly as well and say, hey, listen, I feel this way about this. What do you think? And I've come to learn over 30 years, Doris, from covering the NBA. One of the great things is you get to know these players as men, as husbands, as fathers, and when they have an issue that they're serious about and means something to them, I want to listen to what they have to say. And there's a way to go about it. And Enes Kanter feels strongly about this. His way of doing it is different than the way most people do it.
You are correct, and it is consistent with his past, and he has endured the consequences of his criticism of the leadership of his country, both from fellow countrymen who play in the NBA, who Enes would tell you don't acknowledge him. But that was my first thought. Did you reach out to LeBron James first? And oh, by the way, I don't know how much business the United States does in terms of billions of dollars and multiple corporations, not to mention the other NBA players who have relationships with Nike, AD, KD, Kyrie, you name it. You single out one guy.
Well, this has been...
Now listen to the wording that they use. The woman that's doing the voiceover, it's not Doris Burke, it's somebody else that works at ESPN. She said that Enes Kanter was attacking LeBron James' lifelong partnership with Nike. Attacking, right? Which is basically a negative phrase, like, you know, painting LeBron James and Nike as victims, you know. Then Mike Breen starts speaking, and Mike Breen is saying, you know, that, oh, he should have spoke to LeBron James, and he's talking about his experiences and talking to these NBA players and how they're open to conversation. You know, I mean, who was Mike Breen to say that Kanter's handling it wrong? He says, oh, most people would handle it another way. He was something to that effect. He was saying that's not, you know, Kanter handled it a different way. You know, I find that real interesting that all of a sudden, like, they're criticizing Kanter and not LeBron and painting him as a victim. Now, these commentators are supposed to be telling us about the basketball game, you know, breaking down the basketball game. Why are they commentating on the issues with Nike and China? They don't actually even address, you know, the fact that, you know, he feels passionately about what's going on with China. They're focused on the whole LeBron thing. Then Doris Burke decides to chime in and starts saying, oh, that's what I thought about too. You know, why didn't he ask LeBron? You know, he should have spoke to him. And then listen to this. This is the best part, as you know, as you've heard in the clip. She starts talking about how other NBA players like KD and AD, they work with Nike. Why is he only singling out LeBron? Again, painting LeBron as some sort of a victim. You know, this is typical what leftists do, though. They you know, they kind of try to change the narrative. They try to, you know, play victim. They play the whole deflection game. You know, that's basically what she did in bringing up the other NBA players. Then she brings up the U.S. government. She's like, oh, I don't know how many billions of dollars, you know, the U.S. government has given to China. You know, deflection, instead of focusing on the real issue here. The NBA must have sent the memo downstairs and said, we got to protect LeBron James at all costs. We can't have this. You know, we can't avoid not talking about it, but so let's talk about it, but let's paint LeBron James as the victim, and somehow Enes Kanter is now the villain. Now, LeBron James actually did respond to Kanter. Didn't respond to anything Kanter said, but responded to Kanter. And I'm going to read you what he had to say about this whole thing. Now, LeBron says this. He says, I think if you know me, I don't really give too many people my energy. and he's definitely not someone I would give my energy to. Trying to use my name to create an opportunity for himself. He's always kind of had a word or two to say in my direction, and as men, really, if you had an issue with somebody, you'd come up to them. And he had his opportunity tonight. I saw him in the hallway, and he walked right by me. Now, LeBron's response is really, really, really telling. He does not address the whole China thing at all. He doesn't address the slave labor. He doesn't address, the Muslims that have been put into concentration camps. He doesn't address the organ harvesting. None of that stuff. Doesn't address any of that. Just focuses on Kanter and saying, oh, it's about himself. Meanwhile, Kanter is actually fighting for other people, which I find really, really ironic. It's funny when Daryl Morey had what he had to say about Hong Kong and China. LeBron had a lot to say about it. He said that Morey was uneducated about China. So now he won't even address China, now that he's gotten completely called out on the whole situation. So, listen, at the end of the day, I really don't care what LeBron James, if he says about China or doesn't say about China, but it exposes it and it highlights the hypocrisy of a lot of these social justice warriors, these woke athletes, right? Who have a lot to say when the corporate media backs them, or big corporations back them, when the media backs them, they open their mouths as long as it's in line and it doesn't hurt their bottom line, their pockets. But when it's something pertaining to China that might hurt their pockets, all of a sudden, they don't have anything to say about anything. You guys let me know what you think. It's Mike from Bensoners. Keep banging.